The Han Dynasty, established in 26 BCE, was one of the most influential and longest-lasting dynasties in Chinese history. Its foundation was laid by Liu Bang, a peasant-born rebel leader who rose to power after the collapse of the Qin dynasty. Liu Bang, later known as Emperor Gaozu, became the first commoner in Chinese history to rise to the throne. His victory over the Qin and rival warlords marked the beginning of a new era in China, an era remembered for balance, stability, and cultural growth. Unlike the Qin rulers, who had enforced harsh legalist policies, Liu Bang adopted a more moderate approach. He combined Confucian philosophy with certain legalist practices, striking a balance between moral values and strict governance. This allowed him to gain legitimacy and respect from both the ruling elite and the common people. The Han rulers believed that government should work for the people, ensuring peace and prosperity rather than ruling through fear, one of the most remarkable achievements of the early Han. Rulers was the development of a strong administrative system. They divided the empire into regions and prefectures, each governed by officials appointed based on merit rather than birth. This reduced the influence of hereditary nobility and encouraged talented individuals to serve the state. Civil service examinations gradually began to emerge, planting the seeds of a bureaucratic system that would shape China for centuries. The Han also focused on building a stable economy. Agriculture was given great importance, and peasants were encouraged to cultivate land with reduced taxes and fair treatment. This not only improved food production, but also secured the loyalty of farmers, who formed the backbone of Chinese society. Roads, canals, and infrastructure were developed to ensure smooth transport of goods and communication across the empire. Militarily, the early Han emperors secured China's borders. They strengthened the Great Wall to defend against nomadic tribes like the Xiongnu. Diplomatic marriages and trade agreements were also used to maintain peace. These policies provided stability, which allowed culture, economy, and science to flourish in later years. The foundation of the Han Dynasty thus represented a turning point in Chinese history. It was not just about defeating rivals. It was about creating a sustainable model of governance that valued both order and humanity. This balance helped the dynasty last for more than 4 centuries, longer than almost any other empire in the ancient world. The principles established during this period became the blueprint for future dynasties. And the legacy of Liu Bang's vision shaped the identity of the Chinese people for generations. The Han Dynasty's foundation laid the groundwork for what would later be called the Golden Age of China, with strong leadership, a just administrative system, and a focus on the welfare of the people. The Han rulers ensured peace and prosperity that transformed China into a world power. The Han Dynasty is remembered as one of the greatest economic powers in ancient history. Its prosperity was built upon agriculture, trade, taxation policies, and, most importantly, the creation of the Silk Road. This combination not only strengthened China internally, but also connected it with the outside world like never before. At the core of the Han economy was agriculture. The dynasty's rulers recognized that farming was the foundation of stability. They encouraged peasants to cultivate new lands and reduce taxes to win their loyalty. Improved tools such as iron plows, advanced irrigation systems, and crop rotation techniques greatly increased food production. With surplus harvests, China was able to feed its growing population and store reserves for times of famine. Alongside farming, handicrafts and industries flourished. Artisans produced high-quality silk, ceramics, bronze items, and iron tools. Silk, in particular, became the most valuable product of China. Its fine texture and beauty made it highly desired across Asia and Europe. The demand for silk would eventually lead to the creation of one of history's most famous trade networks, the Silk Road. The Silk Road was not a single path, but a vast network of routes that stretched from China through Central Asia to the Middle East and eventually to Rome. Through these routes, silk, porcelain, paper, and spices flowed westward, while horses, glassware, gold, and other luxury goods came into China. This trade enriched the empire and allowed merchants to become influential members of society. But Silk Road was not just about goods. It was also about cultural exchange. New ideas, religions, technologies, and artistic styles entered China. Buddhism, for example, spread into China through these trade routes and became one of the most influential religions in Chinese history. In this way, the Han Dynasty was not only participating in economic exchange, but also shaping the cultural and intellectual development of the broader world. The government played a key role in ensuring the success of trade. They provided protection for caravans, improved roads, and set up way stations. The state also regulated markets and collected taxes from merchants, ensuring steady revenue. This helped fund military campaigns and public works like canals and fortifications. The economic prosperity of the Han Dynasty created a sense of stability and wealth across the empire. Farmers, merchants, and artisans all had opportunities to prosper. And even though social classes were strictly defined, economic activity connected different groups. The wealth generated from trade allowed the Han court to sponsor scientific research, cultural achievements, and military expansion. Ultimately, the Silk Road and the economic policies of the Han Dynasty left an enduring legacy. They transformed China into not just a regional power, but a global influencer. The prosperity of this period is one of the key reasons why historians consider the Han era the golden age of China. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Han Dynasty was its progress in science, technology, and innovation. The spirit of discovery during this period made life easier for ordinary people, strengthened the empire's military, and advanced human knowledge in ways that influenced the world for centuries. Perhaps the most revolutionary invention of the Han era was paper. Before paper, people wrote on bamboo, silk, or wooden tablets, which were either too expensive or too heavy. Paper, invented around 105 CE by Cai Lun, was cheap, lightweight, and easy to produce. This invention transformed communication, record-keeping, education, and government administration, spreading knowledge faster than ever before. In astronomy, Han scholars made significant contributions. They created detailed star maps, recorded eclipses, and calculated the length of the solar year with impressive accuracy. They believed that celestial movements reflected the harmony between heaven and the emperor. So astronomical studies were not only scientific, but also deeply tied to governance and spirituality. The Han were also pioneers in seismology. Zhang Heng, a brilliant scientist, invented the first seismograph, an instrument that could detect earthquakes from hundreds of miles away. This invention showed the sophistication of Han engineering and their concern for natural disasters that could harm society. Agriculture and engineering also saw great progress. Iron plows with mold boards were developed, which allowed farmers to cultivate land more efficiently. Water-powered mills and advanced irrigation systems boosted crop yields. These innovations supported population growth and ensured food security, strengthening the empire. In medicine, the Han period saw the refinement of acupuncture and herbal treatments. Medical texts were compiled, recording diseases, cures, and natural remedies. This systematic approach to healthcare influenced Chinese medicine for generations and continues to be practiced even today. Military technology also advanced under the Han. Crossbows were improved, and new metallurgical techniques allowed for stronger weapons and armor. These innovations gave the Han army an advantage against nomadic enemies like the Xiongnu. The Han dynasty's advancements reflected a society deeply interested in knowledge and progress. Unlike some civilizations that guarded their inventions, the Han shared ideas through trade routes, especially the Silk Road. As a result, many of their innovations reached other parts of the world, influencing civilizations far beyond China's borders. The achievements of Han scientists and inventors left a legacy that continues to shape the modern world. From paper to seismographs, their innovations remind us why the Han era is called a golden age. While the Han dynasty is celebrated for its political and economic achievements, its cultural and intellectual contributions are equally significant. This was a time when Chinese philosophy, literature, art, and education flourished. creating traditions that shaped Chinese identity for thousands of years. The Han rulers officially adopted Confucianism as the guiding philosophy of the state. Confucian values such as respect for elders, loyalty, honesty, and the importance of education became deeply rooted in society. Government officials were trained in Confucian classics, and imperial academies were established to prepare scholars for civil service. This emphasis on moral governance created a strong link between ethics and politics. Literature reached new heights during this period. The most famous historian of the Han era, Sima Qian, wrote records of the Grand Historian, a monumental work that documented Chinese history from ancient times up to his own day. His writings set the standard for historical recording in China and influenced later historians across East Asia. Poetry and prose also flourished. Reflecting themes of nature, philosophy, and human emotion, art was another area of growth. Han artists produced exquisite ceramics, bronze vessels, jade carvings, and murals. Tomb paintings revealed not only artistic skill but also daily life, beliefs, and customs of the people. Calligraphy, considered a high art form, became more refined during this period. These artistic achievements expressed the sophistication Han society and its appreciation for beauty. Religion and philosophy also blended during the Han, while Confucianism was promoted by the state. Daoism and Buddhism began to grow in popularity. Buddhism, introduced through the Silk Road, brought new ideas about life, suffering, and spirituality. This diversity of beliefs enriched the intellectual life of the people and gave them multiple ways of understanding the world. Education was highly valued. Schools and academies spread, and the idea that scholars should serve the state became deeply embedded in Chinese culture. Knowledge was not only respected but also rewarded with opportunities for social mobility. This intellectual culture encouraged innovation and ensured that Chinese civilization remained dynamic. Culturally, the Han Dynasty created symbols of identity that survive to this day. Traditional clothing styles, architectural designs, social customs from this period became defining features of Chinese culture. Even the Chinese written language became more standardized, allowing for greater communication and unity across the empire. In short, the Han Dynasty was not only a time of material wealth, but also of spiritual and intellectual richness. By combining Confucian ethics, historical scholarship, artistic creativity, and religious diversity, the Han created a cultural golden age that continues to inspire admiration today. The Han Dynasty's influence on China and the world has been profound and enduring, making it one of the most celebrated periods in history. Even centuries after its fall in 220 CE, the legacy of the Han Dynasty shaped Chinese identity, governance, culture, and society in ways that still resonate today. This final keynote explores the reasons why the Han Dynasty is remembered as a true golden age. 1. Of the most visible legacies is the very name, Han. The majority ethnic group in China today is called the Han, Chinese directly linking their identity to this dynasty. This naming symbolizes the dynasty's enduring cultural and political impact. The Han era established the foundations of Chinese civilization that influenced language, education, government, and social values for generations. Politically, the Han Dynasty created a sophisticated and durable administrative system. By dividing the empire into regions governed by merit-based officials, the Han ensured effective governance that balanced central control with local administration. This civil service model influenced not only subsequent Chinese dynasties, but also bureaucratic systems in other East Asian countries. The principles of Confucian governance established during the Han period became the backbone of Chinese political philosophy for over a millennium. Economically, the Han Dynasty left an enduring blueprint for prosperity. Its emphasis on agriculture, trade, and the Silk Road fostered wealth and stability. Trade routes connected China to Central Asia, India, and even Rome, allowing not just goods, but ideas, technologies, and religions to spread across continents. The Silk Road became a symbol of China's global influence, and its economic policies inspired future rulers to invest in infrastructure, commerce, and innovation. Culturally, the Han Dynasty's impact was equally significant. Confucianism became embedded in the education system and government philosophy, shaping Chinese social values. Literature, history, and the arts flourished, with historians like Sima Qian setting standards for chronicling events, and artists and craftsmen creating enduring works in bronze, jade, and ceramics. This period also saw the integration of diverse philosophies, including Daoism and Buddhism, fostering intellectual richness and cultural diversity, scientific and technological. Advancements from the Han Dynasty continued to influence the world. The invention of paper transformed communication, education, and administration, while innovations in astronomy, medicine, and engineering improved daily life and knowledge. These achievements not only strengthened China internally, but also left a lasting contribution to global civilization. The Han Dynasty's legacy is also reflected in its influence on later dynasties. Many rulers sought to emulate Han policies, values, and achievements, recognizing it as the benchmark of stability and cultural sophistication. The dynasty's emphasis on governance, education, trade, culture created a standard against which future empires measured themselves. In conclusion, the Han Dynasty's legacy is multifaceted. It shaped the identity of the Chinese people, established enduring governance and cultural systems, fostered economic growth and global connections, and left a remarkable record of scientific and artistic achievements. Its influence extended far beyond its time, making the Han Dynasty a true symbol of China's golden age. Through its political, economic, cultural, scientific contributions, the Han Dynasty continues to inspire admiration and study, highlighting the enduring greatness of this historic empire.